Podcast title: The Slow Path That Actually Works. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but nothing seems to be happening? You wake up early. You try to stay focused. You put in the effort. And yet, days go by, and it feels like you're standing still. That feeling is frustrating, because it creates doubt. You start asking yourself questions like, is this even working? Am I wasting my time? Should I try something else? And those questions are dangerous, not because they're wrong, but because they often appear right before progress begins. Today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. Not shortcuts, not hacks, not overnight success, but the slow path. The path that feels invisible. The path that feels uncertain. The path that most people quit because it doesn't give immediate rewards. But here's the truth. The slow path is the only path that actually works. Let's break this down. We live in a world where speed is everything. Fast results, quick wins, instant feedback. You post something, you expect likes. You try something, you expect improvement. You work on something, you expect results. And when those results don't come quickly, it feels like failure. But it's not failure. It's reality. Because meaningful progress takes time. Think about anything valuable. Building a skill, improving your health, growing a career, creating something meaningful. None of these happen instantly. They require repetition, consistency, time, and most importantly, they require patience. But patience is difficult because it forces you to trust something you cannot yet see. Imagine planting a seed. You water it. You take care of it. You do everything right. And for days, nothing happens. No growth. No visible change. If you didn't understand how growth works, you might think it's not working. You might stop. But if you keep going, something eventually appears. A small sign. A tiny result. And from that point on, growth becomes visible. But that visible growth only exists because of the invisible effort that came before it. And this is exactly how progress works in life. Most of your effort is invisible. No one sees it. No one praises it. No one rewards it immediately. But it matters. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, it matters. Every time you choose focus over distraction, it matters. Every time you continue instead of quitting, it matters. Because you are building something. Not just results, but identity. You are becoming someone who follows through. Someone who is consistent. Someone who doesn't depend on motivation. And that identity is what creates long-term success. Let's talk about motivation for a moment. Motivation is often misunderstood. People think they need motivation to start. They think they need to feel ready. They think they need energy. But motivation is unreliable. Some days you have it. Some days you don't. If you rely on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Instead, you need something stronger. You need structure. Structure means you act based on a plan, not based on how you feel. You don't wake up and decide if you will do something. You decide when and how in advance. This removes friction. It removes hesitation. And over time, it builds discipline. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing what you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching. And this is where most people struggle, not because they are incapable, but because they are inconsistent. They start strong. They feel motivated. They push hard. But when things slow down, they stop. And every time they stop, they reset their progress. This creates a cycle. Start, stop, start again. And that cycle prevents real growth. The slow path breaks that cycle because it focuses on consistency over intensity. Instead of doing a lot for a short time, you do a little for a long time. And that difference changes everything. Let's make this practical. Imagine two people. Person A works intensely for 1 week, then stops for 2 weeks. Person B works consistently for 30 minutes every day. At the end of a month, person B will have more progress, not because they worked harder, but because they worked consistently. Consistency compounds. Small actions repeated over time create big results, but only if you don't quit. And this brings us to one of the most important ideas. You don't need to feel progress for progress to exist. This is where many people get it wrong. They expect to feel improvement immediately, but growth is often delayed. You don't feel stronger after one workout. You don't feel smarter after one study session. You don't feel successful after one effort. But those actions are building something. And if you continue, that something becomes visible. Before we close, I want to give you something simple. A shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "Is this working?" ask, "Am I showing up?" Because showing up is what creates results. Not perfection, not intensity, not motivation. Consistency. And if you focus on that, everything else will follow. So the next time you feel like nothing is happening, remember this. You are on the slow path. And the slow path is the one that actually works. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you in the next episode.